Hey there, everybody. Welcome back to the channel. My name's Chris, and this is a little series that I wanted to put together for a while. Um, Basically, I really feel that I've explored a lot of different games over the years, and everybody's journey through gaming is different. And my gaming started on early consoles and handheld, especially the initial NES and old school Game Boy. And it kind of stayed there for a long time, to be fair. And then I got into PC gaming a little bit later, and that kind of took over everything. And I enjoyed some other consoles. The PlayStation 2 especially was a big part uh, of my gaming history for a while. But ultimately, it's been PC gaming, and I wanted to focus on that and showcase some of the games I love that I'm not sure people know about, or if you do, don't get mentioned enough. I first want to go through some big games though, and a couple of shout outs here and there along the way. Honorable mentions and stuff that I won't actually be showcasing on this channel. But the idea also is to turn this into a series where, for maybe just a one off video, or maybe a run of up to like 10 videos, I will actually be playing these games because I still have access to all of them, most of them. Um, I want to start off with AOL.com. Couple of games on there that were huge in my kind of early development as a gamer. I can't remember one of them, but it was a role playing game, um, a text based role playing game, and I still remember little bits about it, not enough, but that was fantastic. I really enjoyed that, and that was the first time there was a community built around the game that I kind of got into, and this would have been very early 90s, 91, maybe somewhere around there. And then the second game, which kind of I started after that role playing game, which I think had something like Legends of M or something like that. Um, yeah. Then like I played that first, but then I got into a game called Splatterball by Mythic Entertainment, and I know a lot more about this one because this had me addicted. And yeah, I was way too young to be playing that game. I didn't have anywhere near the hand-eye coordination to play what was essentially a paintball version of a first-person shooter. There was a capture the flag element. You get hit by paintball, um, paint pellets, and you had to go to a base to clear yourself. Or there were sponges that could clear up some of the hits and restore kind of like shields or your health or whatever. Where you want to look around it and you run out of ammo, there's little paint pellets around that you ran over and picked up. Four different kinds of gun. And there's a huge community on that I fell in love with. And I lied about my age a few times. I think I ended up telling people I was like 13 or 14 when I was 9 going on 10. I had a really bad modem. People were on about like their 56k modems and whatnot they were just having, some of the Americans, and I was on like an old 14.4, which, if you know, is absolutely terrible. Most of the player base was US based, and so I didn't really have a lot of people to play with um, at first until I lied about being in America to some people. And yeah, I had a little bit of skill, not much, but I had a little bit, and I had some big people help me out over the years that I played that game, and I made some exceptional friends. I ended up running one of the teams on there for a long while, a team that would have died possibly otherwise. Um, a team that I joined because of certain people who then, due to unknown circumstances, had to leave. Everyone's very sad. I never know what happened to a player called Flaxen, but I was running Team USA for a long time, the United Splat Attack, and made some phenomenal friends through it, and I kept it alive as a way too young kid, and with this just dogged determination that this thing, with the people that I'd looked up to early on in the game, like it was their guild, it was their team, and I would not let it die, even though we didn't have anyone good as a player base, and people were leaving left, right, and center. And I wasn't the best leader. I wasn't the best player. I was far from the best player, and I made what decisions I had to keep that team alive. But yeah, it was crazy times. And I eventually did leave and handed over to someone much better at administration and 20 times the player. Um, and a lot of my good early memories are tied up in that game. And if you ever did play Splatterball, then you know you might know that community if you play the game like it. And it was all tied up on message boards as well, built into AOL. So it was like this very insular kind of thing. And each team had their board, and they had private boards and public boards, and there was a ladder you played in as a team. And Christ, we used to lie to the referees about registering players because we didn't have players. We didn't have anyone that could play. And we'd kind of get someone to play for us and to join the team, but we hadn't registered them in time, so I had to kind of make up fake emails. I apologize to anyone involved, but hey, I was a young dumb kid, and it wasn't that serious. But it felt it at the time. Like I say, that this impetus was on me to carry on this legacy that probably should have died. But yeah, just fantastic group of people as a player base. Even the bad people, even the trash talkers, the toxic players, um, the top players who are probably at some level cheating, and everybody kind of knew who they were, and they were smurfing on different alias accounts, which wasn't allowed either. And everybody knew, but yeah, I met a lot of good friends through that, especially Karen and Mike, aka Putty. So yeah, I was Hilltop. I called myself the newbie pres because I was president of Team USA, but boy was I a newbie. So I made sure that stuck with me because I was very open and honest that about what I was back then. Um, but damn, I loved that game, and that was one of the last times I really ever got into multiplayer in a big way, competitive multiplayer. Because I did realize that I don't like being competitive, but if I'm in that situation, I get too competitive and I don't like myself and who I go and become in those situations sometimes. But yeah, if you know, you know. But I will, I was a member of a few teams, but there's only USA and SX that are the two which will kind of hold kind of close to me. Much love to the XX crew, and also just to Stu, who really took me under his wing and tried to teach me how to play better. And I tried. I really did. Just my connection was terrible. I was playing at like 2 o'clock in the morning as a 10-year-old with school the next morning, having gone to bed 2 hours earlier and snuck down to play this damn game. Oh, it, just the worst decisions. Some of the worst decisions I've ever made in my life. Some of the best times I've ever had in my life. I think there's something to be said about that. But I really do appreciate everybody I met and played with. And yeah, there's probably a lot of people out there. And I know there's been reboots of the game, and fans have like really wanted that game to come back, and have created their own servers to actually get the game working over time. And yeah, people, I don't think people would know who I am really, but I was never a big figure on that game. But it meant the world to me, and it kind of set that love of games deep within me. It wasn't something I would just pick up and play and forget about like some other games. Um, but it really would stick with me. From there, there were other like DOS games that I played on AOL, like Greyhound Racing, Kennel Manager, or something like that, and Horse Racing. There's one for that as well, which is similar basically to the Greyhound Racing game, which is probably the precursor that leads me on to Starter's Orders. Um, there was also games there like Liberal Crime Squad, which is having a comeback for some reason. Stuff like Moria and games of that ilk and Rogue that have evolved into big things today along the lines of really, to a certain degree, like precursors of oh, what's the name? Dwarf Fortress and RimWorld and those kind of games. Not as random and not as like procedurally generated as those games back then were. But yeah, that they kind of meant a lot to me. And then through people at school, I actually got into Diablo 2 or Diablo, and then eventually Diablo 2. And I started playing role playing games around that time, D&D and other tabletop games. And that took me back to the first game on AOL, which I can't remember the actual name of at all. And I hate not remembering it, but it took me into that kind of mind frame again, and then I started playing a lot of role playing games on the computer while I could as well. So I want to shout out two platforms which have really funded my gaming, not funded, but supported my gaming on PC. Number one is GOG.com. Nothing but love for the GOG. It's yeah, it's been fantastic. It's where I've got most of my games from up until the last couple of years, where I've had a lot on Steam, but GOG's always been the one I'd want to buy from over Steam. And then over the last few years, it's just always been Steam because I lost a couple of accounts or access to a couple of accounts on GOG. I've got some backups of my games on a hard drive, and I've got a new account on GOG that I bought a few games on. But ultimately, there's yeah, there's a little bit of issue there. But I want to shout out GOG because they've been phenomenal over the years, and they continue to be so. They host some really big games. They're backed by CG Project. I think GOG is CG Project Blue and CG Project Red is the game development arm, I think. Something along that line anyway. So I give them all like huge credit for what they've done um, as a sales platform and as a development studio as well. Like, yeah, just kudos to them. And no, this isn't sponsored. None of this is sponsored. I want to talk openly and honest about my gaming habit over the years. So we need to shout them out as well. AOL first, my intro, as it were. GOG. Um, as soon as they opened, I kind of heard about it not long after, and it's kind of been really exciting seeing a lot of my favorite games, especially games that were unsupported for a lot of years, going on to GOG, and we'll come on to that as we get to those games. And then, of course, Steam. But, yeah, I mean, role-playing games, right? I don't know about you, but Baldur's Gate was huge. I borrowed it off a friend, and I played through it. I gave him back the game. He said, "Do you want the second?" I was like, "There's a second? Okay." So I played through that. I played through the expansions. I did everything on these games, and I loved the story um with them. And they're very dated now. They very much are. But there is an enhanced edition. And kudos to Beamdog who of they've kind of brought back that. But all these games you'll see in like the classics here, Icewind Dales, etc., are all kind of up there. I really like Baldur's Gate, but for me, Baldur's Gate 2 especially the expansion Throne of Baal was my jam. And I've played and replayed this one so many times. I just absolutely adore it. So, big shout out there very early on, the old TSR games. I just, yeah, I can't say enough about those. And then from there, we kicked on to Neverwinter Nights, which was another big part and had some DLCs with it as well, or expansion packs as they were back in the day before there were DLCs, of course. Yeah, just absolutely fantastic. And for a long time, my number one game, if anybody would ask me at any point, and I've kind of got three now that I will name. There's a bunch of honorable mentions, and most of the ones I'm showing right now are gonna be that. But one of three absolute top games that I've got to mention next is very similar. It's Planescape Torment. And yeah, the storytelling, the writing, the setting, just absolute amazing. And like I say, it's still probably in and around a three-way tie with like 10 games tied for number four, but the three do stand head and shoulders above the rest. And even before an enhanced edition, Planescape Torment is one of those games. If you've never played it, then I would suggest going and trying out the enhanced edition. Same for Baldur's Gate 1 and 2. They will be dated. They will be, what they are. They're a product of their time. Even the enhanced editions, 20 years after their release, you know, they're still now coming up to 10 years old or older. So take that into account as well. But for just storytelling, gameplay, and just really captivating, the first time I really felt full immersion in games, this is kind of what grabbed me. So I can't say enough about Planescape Torment at all. Um, oh, what can change the nature of a man? Indeed. Indeed. Yeah. No, I love the game. I love the game. And that's always been my highlight of the genre. Other people have different answers, but role-playing game, the best role-playing game of all time, I've got Planescape Torment. Not far behind it, Knights of the Old Republic is just phenomenal. It's absolutely phenomenal. A lot of people prefer Knights of the Old Republic too, and I don't blame them. Mechanically, probably a better game, but yeah, this kind of puts me on a Black Isle slash BioWare slash Interplay slash etc. Like the same group of developers, Obsidian, like they all kind of worked on these games and kind of different members are in and amongst with their fingerprints all over these games. Um, and yeah, you might prefer Knights of the Republic to the Sith Lords. I don't blame you. I don't blame you. They're both absolutely phenomenal and brought some of the best characters to life and some of the best storytelling I've seen in a long time. Absolutely adore those games. They are honorable mentions though, because the next game was a buggy mess. It was rushed. It was put in a bad place. It was forced to release on the same day as Half-Life 2. Um, and it was also a game made with a source engine that was designed for Half-Life 2, which is constantly updated. And I don't blame Troika for what happened to this game and how it came out. But it's yeah. Yeah, Planescape Torment pushed so hard as my clear number one for years until I played Vampire the Masquerade Bloodlines. And the combat was a mess. The bugs were plentiful. The bits I didn't like about the game, I absolutely hated. There's definitely some creepy horror. No shit, right? But there's definitely some creepy horror type stuff that I'm just not a big fan of. There's a bit of psychological stuff in that which I don't deal well with sometimes. But just some of the best written characters and storyline, voice acting above and beyond. There's a reason why this is a cult classic, as bad as it was on release. And the community took it over. And this is one that I feel GOG saved um, from going under the radar a little bit, because they were selling the game when nobody else was, and they were selling it with a fan patch automatically installed. Whereas Steam, who did have it up, were just selling the game on its own, and then you'd have to go and try and find out how to patch it, or maybe not even be aware there was a patch for it. Big shout out to West5, who kind of is responsible for this game being playable. And yeah, making it live on in people's memories, and kudos to him, kudos to GOG, and yeah, screw Activision. I love Troika, and Tim Kaine, which, kind of ties back in with the Black Isle interplay, etc. And Obsidian. Here's another Obsidian one, Tyranny, a more modern game on the list, but my god, it took the RPG action isometric gameplay that I like in so much of the games we've already talked about, but it had another fantastic story. I wasn't as sold on some of the characters in it, but I think the writing was really good, and the gameplay, the mechanics underpinning the game were just fantastic, and the way the story was told on the map and the choices you had to make. There was definitely replayability with different factions you could side with, and they would do different things. But just phenomenal job with this game. It doesn't get anywhere near the love that it deserves. Neither does Pillars of Eternity, which I think also is criminally underrated. I haven't added it to my list here because it's too long as it is, but that does deserve a shout out. But Tyranny is fantastic. And as with all these games, if you want to try them, as I'm showing you, they are available in some form on Steam, GOG, other platforms. You can get them fairly cheaply. I mean, right now, 75% off, as we're speaking, £6. You can spend 20 and get all the gold edition, and there's 26 Pillars of Eternity. But yeah, stuff like this, and then the Outer Worlds and other stuff like Obsidian, Black Isle, Interplay, etc. Like that, Troika, they're all interlaced so much, and they've produced so many games on my list. It is unbelievable. But yeah, when you see the quality being produced by these people, and the ideas, and the way it comes across, and the storytelling, and the dialogue, and the characters, it's easy to love the games. If you love one, you're probably going to love most of them, to be honest with you. Going back in time, a decent clip. I'm it's going to age gate Fallout, not allow me to go into it, and then I just reload and go back. Okay. But yeah, Fallout, another very early one for me. And again, Interplay, Tim Kaine, etc. Like, just the humor, the choices. We all know now the franchise has ended up spawning. Like, so many of my favorite games, it was in limbo for so long. After Fallout 2, we didn't have a ton. There were basically 3 games in the series at that point. A lot of fans would say 2. I like the third. We're gonna get to that as well, but yeah, it's just for the time, groundbreaking. You know, it was absolutely fine. It was on the back of Wasteland for sure. They admit that. They kind of glorified Wasteland. A lot of that played into how Fallout was built, and now we've actually got a reboot of Wasteland, which is phenomenal. But Fallout, its sense of humor, the setting, and again, the dialogue, the storytelling, the characterization, the player agency, just hits everything the way I wanted it to. Fallout 2 as well, just absolutely fantastic. I prefer Fallout 1, but 2 is just as iconic and great. People don't like Fallout Tactics, and it's not a canon game, and it's okay. You remember the Brotherhood of Steel, and you're recruiting a squad, and it's a squad-based tactical combat game based in Fallout. That's all fine. People have a little bit of an issue with it when you've got mutants and humans and super mutants and death claws as your party members and talking death claws. Yeah, it may have gone out there a little bit, but it gave me another way to play Fallout, and it gave me more of that lore, more of that fun, more of that humor. Um, and yeah, I really liked it. And another game we will come to very soon did the same thing, and people don't have a problem with it these days. Back then, I think it was more of an issue. But yeah, these 3 were just fantastic. And then there's a Limbo, and Van Buren was supposed to happen, and it didn't. That fell apart, and we end up, with the rights going to Bethesda. Fallout 3, I thought was a really nice reintroduction, but it took itself too seriously compared to older Fallouts, and the writing wasn't quite there for me. It was a departure. It was very much a Bethesda game rather than a Fallout game. And then they said to some of the old Obsidian, Black Isle Interplay guys, hey, go make us a new game. And they made New Vegas, and it was a perfect blend between Fallout 3 and Fallout 1 and 2. Because it definitely had more of the Fallout feel and dialogue and style with the more kind of Bethesda action first person shooter role playing characteristics. So yeah, that was fine. Fallout 4, I don't like that they got Liberty Prime at the end of both of them. And like Fallout 3's plotline is basically, oh my god, I gotta go find my dad. And Fallout 4's plotline is, oh my god, I gotta go find my son. Like, I don't love it. Both great games, both well worth playing. But by God, it doesn't stink of originality when you kind of reuse a couple of major plot points for both of them. And the fact that they both take place in vastly different areas, but kind of feel way too similar. But yeah, that's enough griping about that. And, I love the Fallout TV show, and we got season 2 coming out, but for it to be in limbo for so long, and then get this, and like Vampire the Masquerade Bloodlines in limbo for so long. And it's getting a sequel, in air quotes. There's nothing wrong with Bloodlines 2. It just shouldn't be called Bloodlines 2. It's got zero attachment, similarities, etc. to Bloodlines 1. It's a Vampire the Masquerade game It looks really good, but you're calling it Bloodlines 2 to try and sell more copies. Because you were trying to make a Bloodlines 2, that fell apart, and now you've made a game which has nothing to do with Bloodlines, using that name for marketing. That doesn't sit well with me, a lot of other fans. That's putting us off buying it. It actually looks like a really good game. And all the criticisms that people put at it early on have been kind of answered with a lot of the stuff they're putting out. Don't like gatekeeping things through DLC and um, collector's editions where you unlock more clans and more characters to play. And I don't love that, but that's just where the gaming industry is moving. But yeah, that took a long time to kind of get a new game, just like Fallout. And I'm hoping it's like the other vampire games, the novellas and stuff that have come out more recently. I feel like that's could be a good catalyst to come and kick on from there. Um, Jagged Alliance, another one. I think we had 4 reboots of Jagged Alliance, and the last one, the latest one, was good. It wasn't great. Jagged Alliance was okay. Jagged Alliance 2 was absolutely amazing. And again, it's just the voice acting, the characters, the personalities, the storyline, and that comedy. Like, you're in a very serious situation, but it's comedy. And yeah, it really, to me, felt like a tactical squad based Fallout in a different setting. And that's why I loved it. And it took ages. Another one of my beloved games that was just on hold for such a long time. With we're waiting for so many remakes and reboots or support for an older game, um, a sequel, anything. And eventually we do get there. Like Fallout got there, this got there, Bloodlines, not really, but kind of, I guess, maybe. Um, Planescape Torment at least got Numenera, Tides of Torment, as a spiritual successor. So, yeah. It's a shame that a lot of these games kind of went under the radar to the point where companies didn't really want to try and create new games in that. Or they got bought up by EA like Red Alert, and then that really, well, Command and Conquer, but Red Alert 2 is what my favorite. Red Alert 3 is okay. It's definitely very much more cartoony and over the top, which is saying something when you're comparing that to Red Alert 2. I felt it went way too much in the wrong direction, and then, yeah, EA killed Westwood by just holding on to the rights. Yeah, not a huge fan of that. But I'm glad at least Jagged Alliance ended up in a good place, and we can still play Jagged Alliance 2. So absolutely fantastic there. Monkey Island, the whole games. I played the original. I played a demo of the original, and I think Monkey Island 2. I think I played the demo of Monkey Island 2 first, and then I played Secret of Monkey Island. Yeah, it was kind of weird. The first one I actually owned, like bought and owned a copy in my hand of, was Escape from Monkey Island. The others I actually, like I say, I had a couple of demos and then borrowed the games from friends. But just a fantastic series, and I think was part of my reason why I really love adventure games. Um, like a major reason of why I love adventure games. And again, it's the root, it's the writing, the storytelling, the humor, the dialogue, voice acting when there was voice acting. Games didn't take themselves seriously, and I think that it wasn't over the top, but they didn't take themselves too seriously, and they just wanted to entertain you, and that really drew me in. You've got to be special if you're super serious. If you're funny, that can get you half of the way there. So I really appreciate these as well. And one of the games I will be going on to is another adventure game that was kind of pivotal, as well as Monkey Island, in kind of those point and click adventure games. Yeah, for me, and that is my third game that is my favorite of all time. So, yeah, Vampire the Masquerade Bloodlines, Planescape Torment, and spoiler, but Grim Fandango. I don't know what it is about that game, but it caught me early, and it's never let me go. The story, the heart, the warmth, the comedy, the stupidity, the menace, the difficulty of the puzzles, but the logic behind them. Even the bit part characters have so much personality, and yeah, that game does something that very few games have done, in my opinion. Even in their own sort of genres, I do rank Grim Fandango above any Monkey Island, and that might be sacrilege to some people, but that's just how it is. And it's not even the theme or anything like that. That's not even a single part of it for me. But I just love what they did and how they did it. So yeah, we will be playing through that one at some point as part of this series, which will be an ongoing thing. But just to highlight that, and the adventure category highlighted by Monkey Island. Yeah, tactical games were huge for me, and Phantom Doctrine, I think, was absolutely phenomenal. There was some stuff they didn't quite hit right. There was some stuff I think that was just a little too complicated and wasn't explained correctly. Wasn't quite clear enough. Stuff like cover, you get hit when you're in cover, and it wasn't really highlighted as to why. But really, it wasn't a bug. Like, the enemy shouldn't be able to see you because you're hiding around a corner and there's zero line of sight. How can you get hit? Well, it's simulating the fact that you're stepping around the corner to shoot and to peek and to see where keep eyes on the enemy. But in a tactical turn-based game, you can't really show that. But they highlighted that, they just didn't explain it. So I think reading around the game and kind of learning more about how the mechanics of it worked really helped. But again, the lore, the characters, the personality, the storytelling, I absolutely loved this game. And yeah, it is the highlight, or one of a couple of highlights for me in this kind of game. The tactical, explore, stealth, espionage, shoot, fulfill objective kind of game. There's a bunch of them out there, and a bunch of them are good. But this is right up there, and I think is sadly overlooked by a lot of people. And again, they're all available for you to go play. If you can't buy them, then or you don't want to, you don't have time to, I would highly encourage going and looking for playthroughs on YouTube, because all of the games that I have shown and will show will have people playing them. And if they don't, or very few do, well, some of those are going to be the lesser games I'm actually going to showcase. But I highly, highly recommend it. And for a game like Phantom Doctrine, I would honestly start with Party Elite, because I think his is just a phenomenal playthrough. Um, yeah, that's kind of why I started watching Phantom Doctrine and ended up buying the game like an episode or two in because I was just sold right away. But absolutely fantastic. If you can't buy it, go watch a playthrough of any of these games. You will not, you will not regret it. Hopefully, but I highly recommend them. And the next one on my list is exactly the same kind of game. It's just far more well known, and there's a bunch of people that I would recommend watching play this. But Beagle Rush #1 and X Wins #2, XWYNNS, I believe. But yeah, great playthroughs. So many playthroughs of this, of the expansion packs or DLCs, of the sequel, XCOM 2, and of the mods, Long War and Long War 2, respectively. Just fantastic. The customization, the story, again, the voice acting. Like, it really felt like games were becoming bigger and grander in scope, and just the love and care of attention to detail. Like, mechanically, they were good, solid games, and they are mechanical games. They're not graphical games, they're not showy games, but they put all the effort into cutscenes and little interludes here and there, and little bits that really brought another edge and brought the games to life and made them immersive. Um, so yeah, XCOM and XCOM 2 again. I just think are fantastic. Like Phantom Doctrine, they're huge time sinks. They can be still quite expensive. Not that expensive, but really, I think you'd want to play with Enemy Within. But yeah, no, I absolutely adore these. I never got round to playing the originals. Other people I know did and loved them, and there's also playthroughs of those. But yeah, great games. And Civilization 5. I had so much fun playing this game. I played the original Civilization very briefly. I played Civ 2 and bought a best of collection version or something where you had basically, at the end of the game's cycle, they put it on like a budget imprint label and sell it really cheaply to try and get, you know, as many players as they could out of it. That's why I started with Civ 2 on that. Civ 3 was the first one I really dived into and I adored. Civ 4 wasn't really for me, but it was very good. Um, and Civ 5 is something that I just downloaded so many races and civilizations to play as, to mod the game, and that was absolutely amazing. It turned a very good game into something that was just, yeah, phenomenal for me. I'm playing it with friends at times as well, but mainly alone. I really enjoy this tactical style of game, even though I'm not great at it sometimes. But Civilization was huge. Colonization was also really, really fun, which is kind of Civilization, except, it's colonizing the New World and sending ships back to Europe to sell, the goodies that you found in the New World. So it's a little Oregon Trail meets Civilization-ish, I think is the best way to describe it. And Sid Meier is just a lauded person for me because of Civilization, colonization, and of course, SimCity, which, oop, there you go, SimCity, which, yeah, I absolutely adored as well. The original SimCity, SimCity 2K was good, and then I kind of fell out of love with them until they did the reboot and the remake of SimCity, and that was kind of really fun, even though it was not great decisions, I would say, being made on how that game worked and the always online aspect and etc. Um, I got a big problem with DRM in general, which is also another reason to love GOG over anything else. But yeah, and then City Skyline came out, and it was a far more kind of serious version of SimCity and didn't have the fun and the quirkiness and the humor that SimCity typically had, which is part of the reason why I loved it. But it did it better and wasn't EA, which kind of, yeah, is one reason that I kind of struggle with them. But Europa, this kind of built on the back of playing Civ 5. I had a friend who was, I was playing Civ 5 with, but they were getting into this and they really liked more the number crunching mechanical side of things. That led me into Europa, which is why I eventually move into CK3. And that's kind of a bit more my pace, but Spain in Europa, that was kind of my jam. That was kind of my jam. France, the big blue blob, 100% nailed that, played that a bunch, moved to Spain, and very interesting sort of early game against, the Muslims, trying to take back the Iberian Peninsula, and then, as Castile to move into Spain, and then looking to try and get the other nations around you, a little bit the smaller nations like Andorra and whatnot, trying to bridge out, and the Catalans, and get enough to actually form Spain fully, and then maybe take over Portugal, depending, and try and get the whole Iberian Peninsula and go colonize. And yeah, I kind of spent so many games and hours trying to get that done, and with varying degrees of success, I did it. But that was kind of my main focus. And I played other parts, but I just loved the way Europa worked. And again, definitely something I wasn't great at playing, but I just loved playing it. I really, really did. I think a lot of that actually comes from Total War, which was a game I really enjoyed playing as well. The original Total War, Shogun, the cutscenes, the assassination attempt cutscenes, I think sold me on Shogun. I believe it was Total War, and then we had medieval Total War, and that was great, and that really introduced me to the Vikings, which I'd never had a chance to play as, and I was always interested in. So that was kind of amazing. And then we had Rome Total War, which I felt was a little more complicated in places, and then we went back with Shogun 2, which is kind of just an engine updated version, and Medieval 2 Total War, I think, was peak for me. And I tried some of the other ones, but Total War as a franchise, absolutely fantastic. I love the Three Kingdoms as well. So Total War Three Kingdoms was fantastic for me there. There's Rome 2. But yeah, Medieval 2 would probably be the one I would play if I could only ever play one again. Talking of the Three Kingdoms, Dynasty Warriors, especially 5. Yeah, I mean, this is more of a console game for me, but some of them now available on Steam. And I think it ties in rather well with the later Total War games. But this was a fantastic game, and kind of a real bonding point between me and my best friend, who we spent so much time. He came to live with us for a little bit due to circumstances, and we just spent weeks playing PlayStation, and Dynasty Warriors 5 was one of them. They have done a reboot of Dynasty Warriors. They got Dynasty Warriors Origins, which I don't hate. I don't love. I don't hate. Samurai Warriors as well. Warriors of Orochi was kind of weird but cool. Um, but yeah, if you've never seen Dynasty Warriors or never played a Dynasty Warriors game, I would heartily recommend it. And the lore, the Romance of the Three Kingdoms, is again the characters are so engaging and interesting in different ways. And I think these games have a big, big impact on how I see that kind of period of history in Asia, especially in China with Dynasty Warriors and, let's say, Samurai Warriors being Japan. But oh, I absolutely adored these games. Absolutely adored these games. So, yeah, let me know how you feel about Dynasty Warriors as well. But that's something I had to bring up. And Grand Theft Auto. Specifically Vice City, which has got me so excited to see 6. Will I play it? I don't know. I'm not the best at playing games. You've got to aim and and shoot people, especially, which is kind of weird. Some of the games that I do enjoy playing, and stuff like the later Fallout 3, Fallout 4, New Vegas, like they're very much more than just a role-playing tactical kind of game. But certain games do hit that sweet spot with it for me. Um, but it's one I definitely am going to watch so many people do playthroughs of. Same with 5. I didn't play it as much as I watched people play it. Same with some of my honorable mentions that I'm going to put up that, again, I haven't played but mean a lot to me in different ways. But Vice City, the king of Grand Theft Autos, me, and I played the original. I played the London expansion. I played GTA 2. Like, I played 1 as soon as it came out. I was way too young. My mum bought it for me, even though it had 18 on it. I convinced her it wasn't that bad. It was just stealing cars and driving them around, which is why it had the tag on it. Yeah, back then things were way weirder. Um, I think she still knew, but she wanted to do something nice for me. It was my birthday present, so that was, you know, one of the games I got way too early again. But GTA 1, GTA 2, GTA 3. I liked 1, but I think I liked the London one more. For some reason, GTA 2 I liked, but it didn't feel different enough for me. GTA 3 was such a big departure, and it just felt strange, so I never fully got into it. And then it all clicked with Vice City, with the music, the setting, the characters, the storytelling, and again, just a game that doesn't take itself too seriously. By the time we get to GTA 4, I think it starts taking itself a little bit too seriously in places. Which is why I really like 5. And the second one I played a ton of and absolutely loved for the same reasons I love Vice City, of course, is San Andreas. And for me, these are the top 2 in the series. But as a whole, GTA, absolutely fantastic. Can't say enough about them. And as good to watch being played as they are to play yourself. Another thing is, not really for a lot of the games on this list, I would say, but especially for GTA, watching speedruns of these games is fantastic. The mods they've got, the chaos mode, the donations to do different things in games, Adam AK's um, karaoke speed through of Vice City, where he's playing the game, and every time a song comes up on the radio, him and everyone in the room is singing, and it's all for charity. They're all charity events, all these speed runs I watch. But, like, yeah, just absolutely phenomenal. And both San Andreas and Vice City and the Titan versions and the Chaos version, and just everything on the speedrunning side for these 2 games, as well as a bunch of Mario stuff I love. Kind of got to give them a shout out. But the GTA stuff, out of all this stuff on the list, I would also watch speedruns of those. They are so entertaining, and the runners are so high on personality and make just watching a game that I love for the story entertaining while they're skipping or just talking over the story, which is wild. So I think major kudos to them for that. And again, I think these games you can definitely watch and get so much enjoyment out of if you can't afford them or can't play them yourself. Not as much for me, but Red Dead Redemption. I didn't get on to Red Dead 2. Red Dead, I think I really enjoy the switch from GTA and the modern day to a certain degree to going back to the Wild West and just the setting and the characters and the different kind of storytelling you can say. But I mean, if they would have titled it, GTA, even though there's no autos to steal, but like GTA Wild West, then that wouldn't have batted an eyelid. But yeah, Rockstar, kudos. You've put some fantastic games with some controversial stuff in it, but again, you don't take yourself seriously. The music is usually phenomenal. The characters are just so fun and engaging. And damn, they're so memeable and just yeah, there's just always something to the games that you're gonna enjoy, and it's something for everybody. I feel. Assassin's Creed. Some are definitely better than others. Assassin's Creed 1 was good, but not great for me. Assassin's Creed 2, I feel, again, a little better mechanically, but I didn't love. Brotherhood is just peak Assassin's Creed for me. I love the story. I love the character. I feel like the world came alive more. I connected more with it. The characters, the storytelling, it all kind of comes to a head in Brotherhood as this perfect kind of perfect game and story being told. And then it kind of goes away for a while in different parts. Black Flag was something I loved and I streamed and I never got round to finishing. And I hate that. I don't really have the time to play it in full. And it's very daunting knowing how long I sunk into that game and still only got like a third of the way through. But I love that just the pirate element of things. I think added something to me because again, I love the pirates. Um, but yeah, there's a part of me that thinks I should. But Assassin's Creed, just fantastic. But yeah, like I talked about with the Vikings and medieval Total War. Like I've always been very interested in the Vikings. I've been very interested in the golden age of piracy. So Black Flag kind of hit really well with that. Um, and mechanically, Assassin's Creed has always been a really fun game to play. Um, some of the later ones I've also found kind of interesting, like Syndicate, very nice as well. Some of the other ones, not so much. So kind of hit and miss throughout the series, but again, I just think an important series. And for Black Flag alone, just and Brotherhood, just well worth a mention. A game that's not on Steam, but there is a Steam group uh, about it. Another thing I think is worth mentioning here because just my love of the subject matter is the name of the game. It's gangsters. Um, oh, I can still hear the sound effects. There were four gangs in this city, this big square city, and yeah, you were basically one of the gangs, and you got to take over different territories and find the other gangs, and you got to recruit, and you got to set up businesses, you got to hide from the police or bribe them, and so on and so forth. Like it just for what was a very basic looking game, absolutely amazing. I mean, you had this kind of like notebook UI where you had a bunch of different stuff, and you could buy guns and cars and set up teams and different kinds of rackets that you were setting up, and just so much fun stuff. And this is kind of what the world looked like, just these square blocks, or not even square blocks, but just like, you know, each area had different buildings in that you could select and go do different things in. And then it had this sort of isometric view for the day when, like, you set up all your orders and you send different people out to do different things. And then you'd watch it all play out, and you'd see different gang members when they were noticed by some of your gangsters. There'd be this sound effect like, oh. And I'd be like, oh, I just saw so-and-so. Like, messages would pop up, and there'd be gunfights, and your plans would go awry, and it was fantastic. And that was followed up with Gangsters 2, which had a lot of the same elements. It was very scripted. You went into an area, you did something, you did a mission, and then it would move on, and nothing would carry over. But yeah, both fantastic. And again, I think just there's so many games of this era that look similar and played similar were fantastic. And also then the Sting for me, I believe it was a German game, and kind of, yeah, the clue was just this game that, oh, I guess it was Polish. My bad. But another game where you would set up to do things. You were this little thief that was hired and trained by someone, and you're kind of looking back at the beginning of the game in a cafe or a bar or something, like over your time as a thief, and it kind of goes back, and you carry out these heists, and you plan different things, and you've got to automate your movement, and you've got to avoid cameras, and you can tell it to walk around this wall, wait 10 seconds, smash this window, walk away, come back, get through the window, steal this, etc. Like, and you probably replay the mission like 5, 10 different times, because what you're doing is you do something, it fails, and next time, okay, well, that failure, we'll restart. Now we wait here, we wait for this guard to go past so we can sneak in behind him, steal the vase, and just fantastic kind of tactical games that you couldn't plan for. And I think I really enjoyed that, just like setting your day's plans out in Gangsters and Gangsters 2 and The Sting, which is an earlier game, I believe. Was that 1994? So yeah, I think I played a translation of 1994. So yeah, it's just fantastic memories of these games, to be honest. Original Portal, high up on my list as well. Just the characters, the world, the story, the emergent gameplay and emergent storytelling. I think it's fantastic. Portal 2, not quite as up there for me, but very high up there. I give them a huge, huge amount of credit for what they were able to do in a very simple game. But the voice acting, I think, really helps, as a lot of my choices, live and die on the voice acting too. But that and the writing shine in Portal with just good mechanics behind it, and that's a lot of my games on this list, but Portal needs to be highlighted. Kerbal, game not taking itself so seriously, mechanically very solid / complicated. No voice acting, no real story. But what it does so well. And it's sad that Kerbal 2 isn't really up to grade yet. But yeah, still modded KSP is one of my favorite things to to play in my free time on and off over the years, and to watch as well. Absolutely fantastic. Um, Absolutely fantastic stuff at different times. But yeah, absolutely love Kerbal, and have to highlight that because there's nothing quite like it. And again, I've always been kind of interested in space as well. So just, yeah, not even the gameplay, but just what the company ended up doing, what Squad did with their hype videos and with their patch videos, and just the storytelling they told outside of the game. I really feel that it did impact a lot of my feeling about what happened in the game. And that sense of humor is key. Absolutely key. Love Kerbal. Never really learned enough to do anything on it, but loved Kerbal. Um, Really quirky game, but Life is Strange. Just fantastic, fantastic story-driven game with a unique mechanic where, again, I think fitting in from the Clue and or the Sting, sorry, and the other games like Gangsters, where you could choose actions and you see it fall apart. The interesting mechanic in here is you can turn back time. You can try something out and then you can go watch what would happen if you did something different, and you can choose which one. I think it's got one of the best twists that I'm not going to spoil, even though there's a lot of spoilers out there for this game. But I think it was one that either you caught early and you like fully were expecting, or you kind of had no clue. And then the ending, I think, is a very simple decision. People apparently struggled on the ending decision. I didn't. And I'm totally unrepentant for that. But yeah, just again, beautiful storytelling with characters, and the music fits very well. The style of game, I just absolutely adore this game. Now, Life is Strange 2, I think, was a little different than the other games in the series, but yeah, for me, just a wild and fantastic story that was worth replaying a couple of extra times. But that first impression of the game, just magical. Similar style of art and focus on narrative decisions. Um, Even though a lot of choices really didn't affect the end of the games, but Telltale, like peak Telltale, was absolutely mind blowing. The Walking Dead games with Lee and Clementine, like that first one was just pure magic. Absolutely pure magic. Tales from the Borderland, people didn't like. I love that one. Um, yeah, I just think when they got things right, they really did. Game of Thrones, I was heavily into Game of Thrones. Still am to a certain degree, but you know, the show's kind of ended. We're on House of the Dragon, which I haven't got into yet. But my Game of Thrones right now is Crusader Kings 3, the Game of Thrones mod. So that's kind of my outlet while we wait for the books and everything else. But like, yeah, that was a great Telltale story as well. Um, I will say one that I didn't expect to be my favorite is The Wolf Among Us. I didn't expect it. It wasn't really my kind of thing. It wasn't what I was looking for. But oh my god, did it hit hard and work so well. And I hear there's a Wolf Among Us 2 coming out after the rebirth of Telltale from the death, but yeah, there so many good stories. Monkey Island wasn't bad. I didn't love it, but it wasn't bad. Um, but yeah, Tales from the Borderland. I would highlight Wolf Among Us, probably my favorite. Hector was fun, dumb but fun. 100%. The Walking Dead's where it really kind of peaked though for me. I think Game of Thrones, Borderlands just below that, and Wolf Among Us surprisingly topping it for me. And then sort of leading in more of kind of the quirky games and the underrated games that we will be looking at. Um, Republic the Revolution, a communist bloc country, a political uh, dissidence type of game. Really weird, really strange, but yeah, like you're trying to compete for the hearts and minds of people in different boroughs of these areas, and you're trying to get elected to power. And do you do it through fear and intimidation and violence and bribery or corruption, or are you trying to do it through just propaganda? Are you actually just trying to win the hearts and minds of people through just speeches and good deeds? And very interesting mechanics on how the game worked. It's abandonware now. I don't think it holds up crazily well. Um, but yeah, there's just this really interesting thing. Like this might be a good screenshot if we can look at some stuff. Um, but yeah, these just so like that would be the areas, and you could have people moving in, and different parties or different types of neighborhoods would support different political parties and leanings. You'd have to try and turn them to yours. Um, Again, kind of like gangsters sending people out with certain orders, certain missions, and seeing if they could do it in the time. But yeah, your ideology and how you do things, and different people, and the actions and the skills, and I really loved the way this one worked. Um, and yeah, you pick your leader. Again, you'd have some different stuff as well: stardom, control, charisma, and presence. And there was a kind of a rock paper scissors Rochambeau kind of deal to it, where if you chose intellect, I can't actually remember what they are, but I think I think it was sort of violence, intellect, and charisma, for example. And intellect would beat charisma. Charisma would beat violence. Violence would beat intellect. Because you'd always beat up a smart person and you win. You can always poke holes in what a charismatic person who's just trying to charm you, poke holes in their sort of speech, and kind of undermine them, and you'd win. And a charismatic person can always overcome the violence, and kind of sway the emotions of the crowd against the violent. So really interesting mechanics. Um, I've not seen a lot of people play it or talk about it, and I absolutely adored the game. I was terrible at it, but by God, did I sink some hours into this. And I think, again, it's just a game that nobody really knows about. And it's such a shame because it did so many things so well, and I don't feel it gets anywhere near the level of respect that it should. And I do just, yeah, I love this game. I love this game. So, yeah, just, oh, fantastic. Um, Absolutely fantastic. Another hidden gem, Titanic Adventure of Time. If you've never played it, you've never seen it, highly recommend watching someone play through this on YouTube. Yeah, you're a secret agent and you're kind of sent back in time knowing how things play out and the world's in a really bad place. And it's up to you to change history. But the night where everything goes down and the place where it all goes down is on the Titanic on that fateful night. And before it crashes, before all the bad stuff happens, my God, you gotta do 3 or 4 things and get away with them. And it's acted in the ship is very faithfully recreated. It's absolutely gorgeous, and I love it. And it is FMV, which is very hit and miss in places, but it's got this charm to it. And oh my God, I love this game. Absolutely love this game. Yeah, I can't say more than that. If you haven't heard about it, you haven't seen it, please check it out. Talking of games which had FMV, Cluedo. Oh my God, the Cluedo CD-ROM, just magical cinema. And yeah, I remember the Cluedo TV show, and Cluedo was my favorite board game growing up. It's since been far surpassed by other games like Pandemic, especially Pandemic Legacy. Just oh my God, was this great? And again, that camp kitsch kind of humor that we love and adore. But it was FMV. It was kind of not the best graphics in the world, but yeah, you would have this intro cinematic playing, and this is available on YouTube to watch people playing. But you could kind of accuse people. You'd walk around, you'd open doors and go through corridors and into other rooms. And in some of those rooms would be people waiting. And when you found them, you had the chance to talk to them. And if you didn't talk to them, if there wasn't anyone there, you had a chance to examine the scene and try and find a clue. And that would be something then you could go around and ask the different characters about. And that's kind of how you solved the murder. But again, just the style and the videos interspersing, the acting, just amazing. Amazing. This and Titanic, for me, kind of some of the best FMV based games I have come across. And yeah, blew my mind at the time. And I played the hell out of these games. I think there were 8 cases. I replayed them even though I knew the answers. Just wanting to see all the different dialogues. It would have been easier on YouTube, just search all endings, etc., and you'd know. But my God, was this fun. Talking of fun, I'm sure now we're getting even more into games that people know about, but important for what it is and what it led to. These dystopian games, even like Don't Feed the Monkeys and Don't You Control Newspaper, the Westport Independent, I think. And there's a TV one, and there's a lot of like Brexit kind of based ones. Not Tonight, Out of the Box is another one. But yeah, just these kind of weird, fun, interesting games that are slightly political in some nature. are based around criminal, dangerous activities. Um, and just yeah, a lot of story and personality off very limited gameplay. And I do think that Papers, Please has to be the one you highlight in this because just phenomenal in what it does. And the music, again, is huge. And everybody's MVP. Don't tell me you're not going to have a screenshot of him. No, you're not going to have a screenshot of him. Don't know why you wouldn't have a little something there on Steam about everybody's MVP, Georgie. Uh, Glory to Astotska. Just, oh, phenomenal. Just, yeah, again, to me, the whole idea that you can have so much story and so much gameplay and personality and immersion from so little that they're showing you, and graphically and mechanically just keeps getting more and more and more and more kind of complicated. And yeah, just adored it. Adored the game. And then really big games that kind of are more recent or still ongoing to a certain degree as well. For me, that meant so much. Like Minecraft's played a huge part of my life, and I've made so many amazing friends through the game, and continue to do so. Don't play it as much as I used to, but still dive back in from time to time. Met my wife playing the game. Um, yeah, I can't help but mention Minecraft, which, yeah, I think for something so simple when it was first made, when I first started playing it to where it's got to now, and the YouTubers that I grew up watching play Minecraft that have since gone on to different things, and especially the Yogscast, and just the love I have for that time in my life, and especially my wife, I can't not mention it. Absolutely well worth it. And then there's four big ones that I haven't played a ton. I've played a couple of hours on each of these four. If I was younger, if I had more time, if I was a student, if I had the energy and the patience and maybe better skills, I would absolutely be crushing these four. Baldur's Gate 3. Like, I've played it, I love it, I've watched a lot more than I've actually played. Um, you could have seen this one coming because, yeah, the the Baldur's Gate love early on and the role playing games. I wasn't a huge fan of the Divinity series. I appreciated it, same with Dragon Age, but I really appreciated it. Just wasn't kind of fully there for me. But again, after Baldur's Gate, just like Jagged Alliance, just like Vampire the Masquerade, etc., like the fact that we ended up getting something else after so many years and Fallout as well, like I've had to wait for so many of those games to get a sequel, thematic or actual. Um, I'm so glad this worked out the way it did and became the game it did. And just, I love the fact that we're in a place where the voice actors are getting so much love now for this game, and they're really embracing it, and they're maximizing their time in the sun. Sorry, Neil, no pun intended on that one. Um, but just I absolutely adore everything about it. I just wish that I could play this as much as I want to, and I think it deserves to be played. Very similar for the others on this list. Cyberpunk, not off to the best start, but fair play to CD Projekt. They went all out to make sure that they didn't just abandon a game. They'd already got people's money. Such a flawed release. Um, and yeah, they stuck with it. They put the patches. They've got the DLC. There's going to be more in the series. They've kind of really dragged. Whoops. They've really dragged this title back from the brink of disappointment. And I don't love some of the story. I don't love being locked into the endings you have. But they're very much, they've got this tale that they're trying to tell, and I get it. I do. Same as Baldur's Gate 3. There isn't a happy ending in a lot of ways. For one, that I'd really have one ending I'd want to do in Baldur's Gate 3, and I'm not allowed to. And I'd really like a happy ending at Cyberpunk, and there isn't. That's kind of the point of the game as well, to a certain degree. But yeah, I still wish it was there. Even if it's just fan service. I mean, you've released the game now, you've released the add-ons and everything else, and you've kind of teased us with happy endings at times throughout it. And we get it. We get what the story is. Is there really any harm in just like a little 5-hour gameplay loop that you can do, that you can release as fan service, just so we can see and hear a vaguely happy ending? Like, why not? Why not? Uh, yeah, yeah. Talking of games that were released that weren't that great when they were first released, but became absolute monsters and so well polished over time after full release. CG Project, what are you doing? Witcher 3. Like, the game it became is nothing like the game that was released. And they stuck with it and they developed it and they put out a phenomenal game at the end of the day. But we had to wait for it. And yeah, Witcher 1 and 2, not too bad. Witcher 3, fantastic. Witcher TV story series was good. Story got a little weird towards the end because I guess they were kind of straying away from the books a little more, is what I heard, and the plans were to do it even more. And you lose your main actor. I think that kind of kills your series to a certain degree. Um, when all he wanted was for it to continue being faithful to the actual story. So yeah, um, I don't know, but like I say, they turned The Witcher 3 into something fantastic, and they got Witcher 4 coming out, and between that and Cyberpunk, I mean, they can kind of build their company just off those titles and be very comfortable and very happy with what they've done. And nobody can second guess them, because even if the game comes out and it's not good, they will get it there. Even though financially the benefit isn't really as there for them as you may think, but like, they do it and they care and they end up giving you a great product. Just maybe not on release day. A lot of companies don't give you a good product on release day and then never end up giving you one anyway. So I give them huge credit for what they've done to The Witcher 3 and Cyberpunk eventually. And Kingdom Come Deliverance. Yeah, it's very cheap right now. It's well worth it. And CK2 CK KCD 2. Wow, easy for you to say. Has come out recently and continues the story. Um, yeah, one I thought was absolutely fantastic. Two, I don't think starts off as strongly as I want it to. I, I I definitely get where they're going. If you go straight from one into two, I think it flows really well. If you start with two, I don't think it's the easiest or more sensible to get into. Um, but yeah, like watching people play it, I think is my favorite. And again, just the level of depth, the complexity, the mechanical behind it, and also again just some humor and not afraid to take some risks and great voice acting and storytelling and stories I haven't heard told before. I don't know kind of you know Polish, Czech, Eastern Europe history uh, particularly well at all, and this is a really nice kind of way to learn about that because I've always liked history. I didn't like it in school, but as soon as I left school, I was able to learn about the stuff I wanted. I was interested in learning about, like the Vikings and gangsters that we've already touched on. Um, and yeah, I've kind of explored little bits here and there, but games like this and Europa, they really have taught me a lot on Crusader Kings, branching off that a little bit, but like they've really taught me a lot more. And the Total War games, like just fantastic that I enjoy playing them, that the stories I'm being told or that I can tell within them are really great and interesting. But also, I learn actual history as well. But yeah, those would be the four that I'd love to play more that I haven't got a chance to, but I absolutely adore. So there we are. That's a rundown of all the games. Well, not all the games, but most of the games I could remember and I could kind of place. Um, that meant a lot to me. There were also smaller ones like Drug Wars and Rockstar, um, Gazillionaire. Just weird small games that do mean a lot to me as well. But those are the ones I wanted to talk about that I wasn't really going to be doing playthroughs of. I will say there are a lot that I am wanting to do playthroughs of, and I don't know quite how um how likely it is I'm going to get through everything. Considering some of these are big games, and I want to do like proper looks at these games, and I do think that's like full playthroughs in some cases. But I think I'll have to gauge that off the interest that you guys give to each of these series. So I've highlighted all those big games that I know are going to be like minimum of 20 hours, probably more like 80 to 100 hours for some of the role playing titles. I haven't got the time to do those unless I abandon everything else. So I want to highlight some smaller games to kind of fit in that window. And so some of these are on the docket. Well, they're all on the docket, but some of these are on the docket for a full playthrough. Some are going to be 30 minutes, an hour, and done. Some are going to be more likely 20 plus hours. But it's highlighted by one of my top three, Grim Fandango. Command and Conquer Red Alert 2, I mentioned. And then there's other games here which mean a lot to me. There's some small games that I can highlight very quickly and not have to spend more than an episode or two on. Dangerous High School Girls in Trouble. I think it's such a quirky one that I need to kind of show. There's some weird mechanics in that I haven't seen do elsewhere. It's really like a board game. Farsis, as you might tell, is more of a dice-based game, so that's kind of an interesting one. The Car Thief is Car Thief. You steal cars. There's a lot more to do in it, but honestly, the way I play the game is going to be interesting to showcase. But I steal a car, then I race cars, and that's all I do. And I've got my own kind of category to try and beat my personal best scores. Um, and that brings us to some really interesting games then outside of all those. Uplink, if you don't know, then maybe you weren't around for it, but it's huge game back in the day. A hacking simulator, and just again something that's on the surface looks simple, mechanically is very, very complicated at times, and the emergent storytelling is phenomenal. And yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if it didn't influence some things like Paper Please, just because some similarities, the way the games start and build up, and that emergent storytelling is phenomenal. Following on from those, Orwell is a much more modern take on it, and probably the highlight of the genre that I talked about, where slightly political, kind of puzzly, kind of game that Papers, Please is kind of the face of. I think Orwell is probably the best done version that I've played in that kind of genre. And so I think it kind of fits in that way. Xephos Diaries is a zombie-based game. So is Dead State. This is on a train and is a really weird, interesting way to play, and I love it. I don't love zombie games. It's a bit weird the fact that I've got Dead State, which is a colony survival game about zombies. I've already put Project Zomboid up, which is just single player survival. And Xephos Diaries is a train based zombie survival game. I don't love. Oh no, sorry. Xephos is an exploration one. Fear Equation is a train based zombie based game. Yeah, there's another one. So there's all those. Democracy 4 is political, which I don't like getting political, but boy, is that just an interesting simulator of running a government that I've never seen done before. Again, quirky, different. Plants vs. Zombies is my no-think game of choice. I fire it up. I play basically I play some mini games, 3 mini games, and through the puzzle levels, and I just can switch my brain off, spend an hour, and there's no stakes to it, so there's no stress or anything on that one. EWR, precursor to TEW we've seen on the channel, wrestling simulator. That's where it began for me. I want to highlight that very briefly. I've got Jagged Alliance 2 on here again, but we talked about that one. Kudos, a very small life simulator games, kind of like BitLife, if you know what BitLife is, before BitLife was BitLife. There was Kudos and Kudos 2 and Kudos Rock Band, Rock something. Yeah, I love the Kudos games as well, and they are made by the same people or person that made Democracy, which is kind of where I went. I went from Kudos to Democracy, and I think Kudos came from somebody I met on AOL, so it ties all the way back into the beginning. Discworld Noir is another point-and-click adventure game that just setting is phenomenal, and I love Discworld, but the noir take on things is immense, and I guess there's elements of that style in Grim Fandango 2, and the fact that those two are along with Monkey Island, like my shining examples of what point and click adventure games are not like Sam and Max and Day of the Tentacle and etc. That many people would put up there. But these are mine, and I want to showcase them because, again, I don't feel they get as much love as they probably should. And that leaves Independence War 2, which ties on from Stars, which will be the first game we play. Different style, but space-based. So is Tharsis. But, yeah, that interest in space, and that's why I think Kerbal is also high up on my list. But Independence War 2 is a very interesting game and represents, for me, my favorite game in a list that contains Wing Commander, which is fantastically done, Freelancer, which I think was fantastic as well. I played a lot of that, and some other games that I'm blanking on right now, but like there's a bunch of really good ones. Independence War 2, Edge of Chaos, for the characters and the story, even though it gets a little weird, as sometimes space games do. But yeah, it hooked me really early on, and again, I don't think it gets showcased or talked about enough. So these, plus a game called Stars, that will be the first entry into this, and I think it's got 5 episodes, maybe 6 episodes, likely for that one. And probably is the most retro looking out of all these, which is weird given a couple of these games, but it is. And it is possibly one of the oldest in the list as well, to be fair. But yeah, that will be going up soon. So let me know what you think. Have you played any of these? Any expectations, etc.? If you made it this far, thank you very much. I appreciate that a lot of people aren't going to watch this, or they're just going to skip over. So if you have made it, thank you very much. I appreciate it. Please do hit like, share, subscribe, comment. Let me know what you think. As always, get the discussion going. But have I nailed any games? Have I surprised you with any games? Are there any that you've never even heard of? Any that you may have heard of but haven't seen or played you're excited for? Let me know. Very interested to see what the takes on the channel are. And yeah, like I say, we start with Stars, and I'll be picking my way through here. So Stars, like I say, maybe 4 or 5 games, or 4 or 5 episodes showcase that game. Then likely just a small one, like a 1 episode, maybe 45 minutes to an hour, to showcase a game, one of the smaller games, or one of the ones that I think I can showcase without playing through. And then maybe bounce back and forth between one that's going to take a few episodes and then singular episodes until we work our way through the list. But yeah, this is kind of my journey through gaming and what's led me to where it is. I haven't included the sports games because I've done those on the channel. So yeah, anything you've seen on the channel, I figure you already know about. And so these are the ones that maybe you wouldn't. And I feel have influenced my tastes and my choices, my play styles, my education, and my choice of entertainment for decades. So kind of wanted to put it out there. And if nothing else, for me. So if it ain't for you, it ain't for you. Don't mind that. Totally your choice. But I figured it was important to do so. Thank you very much for stopping by. I appreciate the support. And I'm looking forward to playing through some of these alongside, it's not going to replace, but alongside our other series. So I hope you're interested and are going to enjoy the ride too. But until then, thank you very much. My name's Chris. These are my games, my underrated gems or forgotten gems. And I want to share them with you. So please do stop back and check them out as they come. Till I see you there, though, for Stars. Good luck. All the best to you. And thanks for being a part of the journey. I'll see you next time.